I've been putting it off forever, and I've got all the parts and pieces, plugs and distributor cap and everything. I've just been putting it off and haven't done it. And now I've drilled about 10 acres of fescue over the last 2 days, and he was kind of running a little rough. And this morning I was going to pull it up and go ahead. I knew it was time. I needed to change the plugs and all that. Well, I made it right out there and then had to push it the rest of the way over here. So now it's got to be done. So I wanted to see if I was actually getting fire. And I am, but it's pretty weak. And this thing, the worst thing about these front mount distributors is moisture. And it's been really humid and raining the last couple days. So it's probably got a little bit to do with that. And it's also flooded. So that's probably my main issues. But the light on the spark for 12-volt system does not look bright enough to me. So that means probably my points are due for being changed out or filed, which I'm going to change them out. I don't ever file them. If I'm going to take all that off, I'm just going to go ahead and replace it. So up here is my distributor, and I've got to, this thing's not exactly fun to get to, but I've got to take this off, take my coil off also, which is just, I normally leave the cap in here until I get it back in so I don't mess up the whole fire and order up and down that road. So got to get the coil off. I need to turn the ignition off first. So got all that off. So now I just got to get this stuff out of the way. And if I remember right, I think there's 2 screws, one right here and on the other side. There may be, I can't remember, it's been so long. It's been about 2 years since I've had this thing off or even messed with it because it's ran so good, but not no more. All right, so I got the 2 screws, one on this side and one on the other side, and I tried to clean this up the best that I could. But I'll try to keep it from rotating, but it's never easy, at least especially with one hand. So I've got it wrapped around the coil now, so I'm gonna have to use 2 hands. Oh, maybe I got it. Let's see. All right. So I don't think I turned it much, maybe a little, but it's no big deal for me because I'm gonna check the timing on this thing anyway. So it was pointed right about like that. And you can see that can really only go, well, it can go 2 ways. You can get it off 180 degrees, but as long as you remember the general direction is point, you'll probably be fine. All right, we got it all took off, cleaned it up a little bit. And I'm gonna go ahead and tell you now, I'm no expert on these things, and it's been about 2 years, but I think I remember the majority of it. So I'm gonna take that off. I'm gonna try to remember that position. And this is where your points are. And over here, that's your condenser. So I've got to look back at the book and see, I can't remember exactly what the setting is on these. I want to say it's 15 to 30 thousandths. I don't remember, but I'll figure that one out. So I'm going to go ahead and take all, but it doesn't really matter right now. I'm going to go ahead and take this out, all of it out, and I've got a new set to put in here. So it's pretty straightforward. You've got 2 screws that hold your points in, that holds your connection from your condenser, and then this screw right up here holds your condenser down. And that's pretty much it. And if you can see, if I can get it to focus, you can see how black it is. You can tell that it's been a little past its prime. So you could take a piece of sandpaper and clean those up if you didn't have a point set, and that would probably solve the issue. But they're not very expensive, and if you're going to go through the trouble, I would just put new points and condenser in it. And I left out one screw. I forgot about this one right here. It's a little bit of a booger to get to. You got to have a smaller screwdriver to get in there and get it. And don't forget to discharge your capacitor, just by touching a screwdriver either to the frame or to the capacitor itself, to that lead, because that'll bite. All right, so now I've got my screws off. I can take this little cotter pin out right here. And I hate little things like this because my big fingers do not agree with them whatsoever. So now this will pull off and you'll be able to pull it up and out. Well, here's my new set of points and condenser. And I ordered these off Amazon. I'll try to remember to link them in the description. I haven't used these before, but they seem pretty decent. It actually comes with another little cotter pin, so that's good. I didn't lose it, but I almost did. And it comes with a feeler gauge, so 25 thousandths. And I think that's right. I'll have to look it up and make sure, but I'm pretty sure 25 thousandths sound right. And the capacitor looks a little different. I don't think this is actually the one for this. I think it's one I had the last time I did this. I don't remember. But anyway, so that's the new kit, and all I've got to do is get it put back in, same way I took it out, and make sure I don't lose that cotter pin. All right, so I got it in the first little part, and I bottomed these screws out and snugged them and then loosened them back, so that way this can move, because this screw right here rotates, and that's what sets your gap. Well, as you can see, this is not the right capacitor. This one actually is the right one. And I don't know, I'm sure it'll still work just fine, but I had to bend that bracket quite a bit to get it to line up. And I guess it could be, this distributor, but that did not line up on this one. So I don't know if this kit's the best thing or not, but I'll still try to remember to link it. Well, so this points kit is a piece of junk, and don't buy it. So the little brad that this goes right here to insulate this connection, and it completely stripped out. The brass piece was just spinning and wouldn't tighten down with the little ground strap. So it's completely trashed now, because to get the screw back out, I had to pretty much tear it apart and put a pair of pliers on here to just keep it from spinning. It's not like it was really tight. So luckily, I keep a stash. So there's going to be a set of points in here somewhere, hopefully. And for these old tractors, you got to have a stash. And look at that, I even had the right condenser. I may change that out too. So I think this is right. I'm not 100% sure. I don't even remember when, where, who, what, well, how, but I've got it. There we go. So that should be the right one. So to connect the ground strap, I just made it loose, kept it loose, and then put it in like so. So now I can tighten that down a little bit, but it's a lot easier to get that screw in if you leave this loose and kind of work that around where you can get it on. Well, this point's had me so irritated, I completely forgot these. This right here has to go under there. So I got it in there, and I had to turn this screw. It goes on an oblong track. I had to turn it to line it up. The points were hitting actually, and I couldn't get it in. So, and then I had to push back on it a little bit to get it to line up with everything. So now I've got to just tighten these screws down, put these two in loose, and get them set. I could go ahead and put that other condenser in there that actually fit. All right, so I got my continuity meter out, and it seemed like I had an issue with this last time. And right here, this connection is supposed to be separated from the base. And whenever I touch the meter from here to here, I should not get continuity. Of course, now I don't. I swear I just did a second ago. Anyway, so it was a second ago, but I remember last time this little rubber piece right here was wore out. And you know what? It might not have actually been on this tractor. It might have been on another one. I don't remember. But I swear my meter just read that it was shorted. But I'll check it again to make sure. But I know on at least one of them I've worked on, that's been an issue. And I don't remember if it was this one or another one. All right, so as you can see, as you turn this, you can see the points opening and closing. So you want to get it on the full opening part where it's all the way open and it's on one of these lobes in here. And check your gap. All right, so I've got it set pretty close. It actually was pretty close to begin with. So I just want that, it's kind of a little sticky still. It's pretty, you want it where it just kind of touches and is not forcing in there. So I'm gonna turn this just a touch. I don't remember which way, but I'm gonna turn this screw just a smidge. See if that was loosening it or that was tightening it. So I need to go the other way with it just a little bit. And I'm sorry for the very bad camera angles. And I need a bigger screw. So, let's use this one. So I'm gonna give it just a little bit of turn. Can't get it. Now I can't get the dang thing to turn. Thank God for editing. So I'm gonna give it a little turn, and you can see it moving those close. So right, probably about there. So let's see what we got. And that's wrong side. Doesn't really matter, but so you can see I got a little player in there. So that's a little bit too much. So got to take this out. Just a little bit more of a turn back. And not much. That's pretty dang close. Just a little bit more. And we'll have it. And there we go. There's not hardly any wiggle room, and it just slides in kind of nice and evenly. So now I'm going to tighten these screws down and call it done. All right, so I checked this again with continuity, and it was a different tractor, so that was good, and my meter was actually touching the frame. So I'm just stupid. But anyway, so that's pretty much it. That's, in a nutshell, how to put points in a tractor. So this thing, the biggest thing is moisture in these things. So I'm going to take some RTV and go over everything. It comes with a gasket, I believe. This thing, just the kit's a piece of crap. And I've got new plug wires. I didn't even realize I had those. But the biggest thing on these, if it doesn't run, check the points. Plugs is a huge deal. And I know whenever I change them on mine, you can tell as soon as they start to go, because after about a year, they just start, you hear the sputtering of the motor. And when you change the points, it makes a huge, or change the plugs, it makes a huge difference. So hopefully the cap is better quality than the points. Let's see. So hopefully these are right. I don't even remember. I ordered this like 6-8 months ago, and it's been on my to-do list, and I just haven't got to it. But we'll see. Hopefully everything in this kit is not a pile of junk like the points. But I'm gonna go ahead, get this put back together, put this back on the tractor. It's just these 2 bolts. Make sure that I line that up on the inside. Remember, it was pointing about this direction, and we should be good to go. And I am gonna go ahead and see if I can figure out how to check the time on this thing. And there's an adjustment screw. Shoot, I don't even remember. I got to figure out. I don't even remember. Something I've been wanting to do is check the time on this thing, but I don't even remember how to do it, to be honest. I think it's that screw right there. Yep. This screw right here adjusts the time. So I'm going to mess with that a little bit and try to advance the timing just a touch to get just a touch more power out of it. But you loosen this screw and then slide this up and down, I believe is the way it goes, and that changes the timing. But I've got to figure out the timing point and see if I can even get it clean enough to tell exactly where it is in time. Well, I was getting ready to go put it back on the tractor, and completely dawned on me. I completely forgot to put that pin in. Glad I remembered. Now we're good to go. Well, I thought this thing came with a gasket set, but apparently it doesn't, and I don't seem to have one. Oh, no, I do. I'll be danged. Well, I was going to say RTV to the rescue, but it looks like I actually have what I need for once. Go figure. Glad I didn't rely on the kit. All right, well, I did go ahead and put some RTV on there. I always do that just to make sure it seals properly. And this is the gasket kit. I don't have no clue where I got this from, but saving the day. So before I put it on, I went ahead and coated everything with RTV and put my little cork gasket on here and coated it. I'm going to put another coat of RTV on it. I just wanted you to be able to see the cork gasket. So you can say what you want about this, the gaskets work, but I'm telling you, before I started doing this, if it was damp outside, that tractor would not start. 100% guaranteed would not start. So just sealing it up and keeping the moisture out of it has helped that tractor so much. And if you have those kind of issues, you can give it a try. So that's what's definitely helped me more than anything with this tractor, keeping it running. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and see. Still got the spark tester on there, see if it does any better. Apparently he's trying to turn over. Oh yeah. I'm getting ready to change the plugs. And one thing I think is real important is just to make sure you try to get all the junk out around them. So when you take them out and put them back, new ones back in, all that grit and stuff doesn't fall back down into the cylinders. I mean, I'm sure it probably will just go out the exhaust valves, but I don't like taking the chance. I mean, I probably should pressure wash this thing at some point. Well, it started raining and I got them tinkering with this thing. And I've always thought that it idled a little low. And I've messed with this screw before on the governor to try to get more RPM out of it. And it never really seemed to make any difference. Well, I finally took the time, and the linkage up here that goes to the throttle was just too long. And I tried to adjust it before, seems like, and I couldn't get it. So I ended up just taking it off and pretty much took all the adjustment that it had in it out of it. And now she's revving on up there. So that's about what it was before. So I can't wait to hook a plow to this thing, because that's going to make a ton of difference, I believe. Because, I mean, it's probably knocking off a couple horsepower for sure, because it just wasn't getting there to the peak range. And I should have messed with it a long time ago, but I'm too all over the place to just focus on one thing. So. And it's kind of hard to see, but right there is the timing adjustment. And I messed with it a little bit, and it's pretty much all the way down, which is advanced. So it's pretty much all the way advanced, just about as far as it can go. There's probably, you could adjust something in there and probably change it, but I know down is advanced, up is retard, and pretty much the sweet spot seems to be about 1/8 of an inch above all the way down to get like a real smooth idle. And then you move it on down all the way and you get a little bit more of a power throaty sound out of it. At least that's my opinion. But so far, I think this thing's gonna do good. Well, that's gonna be it for this one. I need to change the oil and change the wires, but I don't have time for it. So that's gonna be it for today. That's gonna be it for this video. I'll do another video on changing the oil and all that, but it's not too complicated. Appreciate everybody watching. Hope you liked the little video. I'm no expert. It's just tinkering on my own little toys. So I hope everybody likes the video, and please subscribe. We'll see you next time.